I woke up before the alarm. Didn't need it, never do. The house was still dark, but I moved through it by memory. I ground the good beans she likes, not the bulk crap we keep for guests. I even measured the water like she always says to. While it brewed, I ironed the blue blouse she left out last night, the one she said might need a little pressing. She walked into the kitchen in heels already, dressed and polished, gave me a kiss on the cheek that barely made contact, said, "Be ready by 6, dinner with the team tonight, big night for me." No smile, just clipped instructions and the smell of that citrus lavender perfume she only wears when she wants to close deals or impress executives. As she left, I caught a look at myself in the reflection off the kitchen window. My collar was flat on one side, polo shirt, navy, faded, a little stretched at the neck. Didn't matter, I was just background. Quick note, before we get into it, share which city or country you're watching from. The restaurant she picked had valet parking and triple-digit prices. She wore black satin and a silver cuff bracelet I'd never seen before. When we walked in, she was all warmth and handshakes. She introduced me to her VP boss as my rock. I nodded, shook his hand. Then she gestured to the man sliding into the seat beside her, Landon. Landon joined the team recently as our new strategy lead. Brilliant guy, she said, smiling like it meant something. Landon didn't shake my hand. He clapped a palm on my shoulder and said, "Ah, the man behind the scenes." Then he pulled out her chair like he'd done it before. He was in his 30s. Loud laugh, those fake sincere eyes. Called her B like they were old college friends. Every story he told, she laughed like it was gold. Kept leaning his way, sharing little glances. I tried to jump in once or twice, but they always looped it back to some meeting or inside joke I didn't know. Then she looked at me. That look she gives when she wants me to shut up and behave. The "don't ruin this for me" look. I got the message. I smiled, sipped my water, said nothing. Halfway through dinner, just as the mains hit the table, Landon reached across her like it was nothing and tugged the cuff of her blazer straight. 2 fingers. Real familiar. He grinned and said, "B, you always forget the details." Everyone laughed, even her boss. I didn't. I looked down at the lamb I hadn't touched. Couldn't even smell it over the sharp cloud of her perfume. That same citrus lavender that clung to her sleeves and now, probably his fingertips. I said, calm as anything, "Guess HR forgot to cover personal tailoring in the training module." It wasn't nasty, it was a joke. Soft jab, barely even a jab. But the table went dead still, like I dropped a fork in church. She didn't look at me, just smiled at Landon, then leaned over and whispered under her breath, "Don't start." That was the second time I'd felt like furniture that night. Her boss coughed and asked some forced question about upcoming strategy changes. Everyone moved on like I hadn't spoken, like I wasn't even there. I sat back, picked at the mashed potatoes. Landon was back to his stories, talking about some wild off-site in Denver, laughing like they'd all survived war together. She laughed too, shoulders relaxed, wine glass in hand. I watched the way she smiled at him. Open, easy, familiar. The kind of smile that used to be mine. Dessert came, creme brulee, her favorite. She didn't offer me a bite, didn't even glance my way. Landon raised his glass. "To B," he said. "The reason this team even runs. Not to the company, not the project, to her." And she just lifted her glass and nodded like she earned it. Like that kind of toast was normal. Like I hadn't just ironed her blouse and made her coffee 12 hours ago while she barked logistics like I was the help. No one corrected it. No one flinched. I took a sip of water and felt it hit my stomach like a rock. The ride home was dead silent. Her hand never left her phone, screen lighting up her face like some kind of altar. I kept one hand on the wheel, the other gripping my thigh hard enough to leave a mark. She was still smiling at something, probably some dumb inside joke from dinner. Her screen buzzed again. Landon, most likely. I didn't ask. Her perfume filled the car, stronger now somehow, like it had bloomed after he touched her. She didn't say a word, didn't thank me for coming, didn't ask if I'd had fun. Nothing. We pulled into the garage. She unbuckled fast and said, "I've got emails to send before morning." Then she walked inside like I wasn't behind her. I followed, slow. The lamb was still sitting in my gut like a brick. I dropped my keys on the counter, heard her office door click shut, and that was that. I stood in the kitchen for a minute after her office door shut, just staring at the backsplash. Lights off. No sound except the fridge hum and the tick of that stupid wall clock she picked out last year. 10:02. I walked down the hall and opened her study door. She didn't look up. "Can we talk?" I asked. She kept typing. Talk or accuse? That set something off in my chest. I stepped inside and closed the door. "What the hell was that tonight?" She sighed loud, still not looking at me. "This again? You let him touch you, talk to you like what?" She snapped. Now she looked at me. Like a teammate, like a friend. God, you're exhausting. I swallowed hard. "You made me look like a damn idiot." "No, you did that to yourself," she said, calmly now. She leaned back in her chair and crossed her legs. "I warned you not to make a scene." I felt my face burn. "Who the hell is Landon, really?" She smirked. The kind of smirk that means she knows something you don't, and she's fine, keeping it that way. "You'll sleep in the guest room until you're ready to apologize." I blinked. Apologize? For what? Noticing? She turned her chair back toward the screen. "Close the door on your way out." She wasn't even mad, just done. Ice cold. I stood there a second, waiting for her to take it back or look at me or do anything human. She didn't. "Okay," I said. Quiet. Not weak, just final. I walked to the master, grabbed my pillow, my phone, charger. My shoulders felt heavy like they were hanging from wires someone else pulled. The guest room smelled like old carpet and dust. I dropped the pillow on the bed and shut the door behind me. No slam, no drama. I sat on the edge of the mattress and stared at the blank wall. No pictures in this room, no memories. Just a bed, a lamp, and a nightstand that still had one of her old college novels inside from before we renovated. I didn't cry, didn't rage, just laid back on the stiff mattress and closed my eyes. No footsteps down the hall, no knock. She didn't come, didn't ask if I was okay, and I didn't expect her to. I lay flat on the guest room bed, staring up at the ceiling fan blades that didn't spin. The silence had weight, not grief, not anger, just that hollow snapping feeling when something finally gives out. Not pain, just final. I'd thought I could ride it out, the tension, the distance, the weird new dynamics. But lying there in that room, on that unfamiliar mattress, I knew I was done pretending this was just a rough patch. Morning came gray through the blinds. I didn't sleep, just waited. At 8 sharp, she knocked. Firm, cold, door cracked open. "Learned your lesson yet?" I sat up, looked her straight in the eye. "What lesson?" She didn't answer, just stared like I was the one breaking something sacred. Then she turned and walked off. I heard the shower start. I moved fast, not panicked, just clear. I grabbed my duffel from the closet and started packing. Couple pairs of jeans, shirts, shaving kit, passport from the file drawer in the office, still where I left it. Next to it was the deed copy from when we refinanced the lake house. I slipped it into the bag too. Downstairs, I laid out everything clean and deliberate, a manila folder on the kitchen island. Inside, Kelly Dobbs' business card, the sharp divorce attorney I'd quietly looked up 2 weeks ago. A marked-up printout of our joint accounts, highlighting transfers and credit pulls she didn't think I noticed. And her wedding ring, the one she stopped wearing 2 months back, left on the bathroom counter like it didn't mean anything. I'd kept it in my sock drawer. She probably didn't even remember it was gone. I set it dead center on the folder, wrote a note on a sticky, "No more scenes, just steps." I zipped the duffel, slung it over my shoulder, and walked to the front door. Paused, listened, water still running upstairs. I opened the door and stepped out, didn't look back. I drove for hours with no destination in mind, just a duffel bag, 2 granola bars, and the quiet. Ended up on Roy's porch by late afternoon. He opened the door in socks and a camo tee, looked me up and down once and said, "Damn, she finally pushed it too far, huh?" I just nodded. He stepped aside. "Guest room's yours. Beer's cold. Bathroom's still a mess." Roy and I had worked together back in the day. Drywall gigs around Chattanooga. Solid guy. No filter, but loyal. I hadn't told him much over the years, just the usual, "things are fine," lie men say. But that night, sitting on his busted recliner with a Miller Lite sweating in my hand, I told him everything. He let out a slow whistle. "Man, she's been gearing up to cut you loose. That consultant, Landon, he ain't just a co-worker." I didn't argue. Next morning I called Kelly Dobbs. Roy's cousin had used her in a nasty custody fight. said she was surgical, sharp, no nonsense. I met her that afternoon. She was mid-40s, blazer with sleeves pushed up, zero small talk. Her eyes locked on mine like she was running diagnostics. "Tell me everything," she said, flipping open a yellow legal pad. I gave her the full download. The dinner, the guest room, the vibe I couldn't shake. She asked for emails, bank info, shared files. I forwarded what I had. She said, "Give me 3 days." It took 2. When she called, her voice was calm but tight. "You've been funding their foreplay." I closed my eyes, let it sink in. She laid it out. Transfers to a dummy LLC, created 6 months ago, tied to Landon's name, labeled as strategic development expenses, corporate card charges, hotel stays in Nashville the same weekend she told me she had a seminar in Denver, jewelry purchases, not her style, but expensive, Uber receipts from our zip code to a condo in the city, photos of them together at a rooftop bar taken from a distance. She was in the same blazer from the night of that dinner. I felt sick, then I felt steady, like I'd found the bottom of the fall. We got to work. I took Roy's advice and started documenting every damn thing. Emails that once looked harmless. Now they glowed like red flags. Texts with timestamps that overlapped with late meetings. Kelly brought in a forensic CPA, guy in glasses and a quiet voice who called the pattern sloppy but prosecutable. I dug through old bank statements, found 2 canceled flights that I didn't book. Both during weekends she said she was working off-site. Roy helped me dig out photos from the lake house, dates, timestamps, even one where she was texting under the table while we were having dinner with my folks. I stopped feeling surprised, started feeling ready. Roy helped me carry the last box into a 1-bedroom apartment over in East Ridge. Beige walls, peeling paint near the window, radiator that clicked when it got cold. But the silence was honest. No perfume in the air, no tension behind closed doors, just space. I picked up a part-time job driving trucks for a catering company, early mornings, odd hours. Didn't care. I liked the routine. Drive, drop, load, repeat. Gave my hands something to do while my mind sorted through the wreckage. At night, I sat at the cheap kitchen table with a notebook and wrote down exactly what I wanted. The lake house back. A clean split. No spousal support for a woman pulling $300,000 a year and spending it like it was monopoly money. Kelly looked it over, said, "It's fair, and if she pushes back, she's got more to lose than you." She filed the papers the next morning, served her at her office, middle of a meeting, according to the Courier, right in front of her precious VP and probably Landon too. 3 days of silence, no email, no text. Then she called, late. Unknown number, but I picked up. Her voice was sharp, controlled, angry the way only guilty people get. "How dare you ambush me like that?" I leaned back in my chair, half-eaten ham sandwich in front of me. "You drew first blood," I said. "I'm just following up." Silence. Then a click. I smiled. Took another bite. Ham was dry, but damn it tasted clean. The next week, Kelly forwarded me a message from her lawyer, posturing stuff, full of corporate fluff about negotiation, misunderstanding, privacy concerns. We didn't flinch. Kelly drafted a reply that made it real clear. We weren't playing games. She used phrases like evidence-supported demands and pattern of financial misconduct. That got quiet again real fast. I kept driving for the catering company. Got to know the dishwashers and the kitchen guys. Real people, no pretense. One of them asked if I had kids. I said no. He said, "Lucky. Divorce with kids is war." I thought, this is already war. Just quiet. Back at the apartment, I pinned every document Kelly sent me onto a corkboard I picked up at Goodwill. Photos, receipts, a printout of the dummy LLC filing tied to Landon, a copy of the hotel booking from Nashville. I wasn't angry all the time. Not anymore. I was focused. That part of me she'd called needy, it was gone. I wasn't begging. I was building. Kelly called me while I was backing the truck into a loading bay behind some wedding venue downtown. I let it go to voicemail. She texted right after, "Call ASAP." Got something? I pulled over on the way back, engine running, and hit dial. She didn't waste time. A junior partner in our firm flagged something. She didn't want to be involved officially, but she saw your wife's name on an internal inquiry. I didn't say anything, just waited. She pushed through an off-the-books investment using company funds. Looks like it went straight into that same LLC linked to Landon. She buried it under some Q4 strategy development line item. Nobody caught it until finance ran a compliance audit last month. I felt my grip tighten on the steering wheel. How sure are you? Sure enough to open the vault. That night, we met at her office. I brought my folder. She brought hers. We spread it all out. The receipts, the emails, the fake vendor profile tied to Landon's LLC, the travel bookings, even an internal invoice where she'd signed off on her own expense authorization. Kelly said, "This isn't just personal anymore. It's corporate ethics." We put everything into one clean folder. No drama, no letterhead. Just facts. A flash drive, too. Kelly mailed it directly to her company's ethics board. Quietly. No return address, no warning. We didn't need a response. We just needed movement. And we got it. A week later, Roy texted me. "Check LinkedIn. Pretty Boy's gone dark." I opened the app. Landon's profile was gone, like it had never existed. 2 days after that, a buddy of Roy's who worked in IT for the company messaged me through a burner account. HR doing internal reviews. Word is your wife's on personal leave. Shhts swirling. I didn't reply, just took a screenshot, saved it in my case folder. One more receipt. 2 more days passed before I got the email. No sender name, just a basic Gmail address. Subject line, off the record. The message read, "She should have kept her personal and professional lives separate. You didn't deserve that." No signature, nothing else. I stared at it for a long time. Didn't forward it to Kelly. Didn't share it with Roy. I just saved it. Later that night, I sat at my tiny kitchen table, paper towel under a cup of black coffee, and looked over the folder again. Everything in its place. No yelling, no fights, just math. She'd built her career on being untouchable, the polished, poised, unstoppable executive. She thought she was always the smartest person in the room. But the one thing she never accounted for, me deciding I was done playing dumb. The courthouse smelled like bleach and old paper. I sat on the bench outside courtroom 4B with my file box on the floor between my boots. Everything labeled, stacked, clean. She showed up 5 minutes before the session started. Hair tight, pearls on, heels too high for how tired she looked. Her eyes didn't meet mine. Not once. Her lawyer, tall guy in a gray pinstripe suit with a plastic smile, gave me a nod like we were all just here for a polite misunderstanding. Inside, it moved fast. Kelly ran point like she was born in that chair. Straight posture, no filler words, zero emotion. She handed the judge our folder, top tab marked Joint Asset Misuse. The judge, late 50s, glasses low on her nose, flipped through the documents with a slow, deliberate hand. About 10 minutes in, she looked up. "This shows a concerning misuse of shared resources." My wife's lawyer cleared his throat. "Your Honor, we believe these expenses fall under standard discretionary use." The judge cut him off. "No, they don't. They fall under fraud, potentially. At best, it's gross misconduct." Silence. I didn't look at my wife. Didn't need to. I could feel her squirming. Kelly pushed forward, item by item. The Shell LLC, the corporate expenses, the unreported transfers, the jewelry receipts. Each page louder than anything I could have said. Her lawyer tried to pivot, said the accounts were technically shared, that there was no intent to deceive. The judge shook her head. Intent or not, the court finds this divorce not only justified, but overdue. I got the lake house. I got half the joint accounts. She got to keep her retirement fund, and her name, and her scandal. Outside the courthouse, the sun hit hard. I carried the file box in one hand, phone buzzing in my pocket from Roy, probably asking how it went. She caught up to me halfway down the steps. Her face was calm, but her eyes were glassy. "You'll regret making me look like a fool," she said, low and tight. I stopped walking, turned to face her. "You did that part yourself." She flinched just slightly. Then her face snapped back into that familiar mask. Smooth, unreadable. I kept walking, didn't look back. The lake house smelled like dust and old pine the day I moved back in. Nobody had touched it since I left. Same throw blanket folded across the couch. Same dent in the drywall behind the pantry door from when I dropped the ladder 2 summers ago. I dropped my bags and walked out to the deck. Boards were splitting. Railing was loose. It felt like standing on something that wanted to give way, so I fixed it, tore up the old boards, Sanded, stained, reinforced the joists. Spent 3 days sweating through my shirt in the September sun. Didn't play music, didn't take calls. Just worked until my hands cramped and the deck didn't creak anymore. After that, I built a small shed out by the tree line. Nothing fancy, just a place to put tools and the projects I used to tell myself I'd get around to someday. That someday was now. A week later, I met a retired Army vet named Pete at the hardware store. We got to talking over nails and plywood. He needed help fixing a warped ramp outside his place. I said I'd come by Saturday. Then it turned into patching drywall, then replacing a gutter. We didn't talk much, just worked side by side like we'd known each other 10 years. Kelly called me that same week. "You're unofficial marketing now," she said. "I've gotten 3 new clients from your case." I laughed. "Should I send you a bill for commission?" She said. "You should send me a beer." Roy showed up that Friday with a 6-pack and a plastic bag of ribs. We sat on the porch, feet up on the new railing, beer sweating between our hands. He looked me over, real slow. "You look taller," I cracked a smile. Guess I dropped some weight. Later that night, I checked my email. There was a message from some counseling group in Atlanta. They were running a workshop for men coming out of high-control relationships. They'd heard about my case through Kelly, asked if I'd come speak, just tell my story. I didn't reply, not yet, but I left the email marked unread, thought about it. One morning, I brewed coffee exactly how I like it. Dark, hot, no cinnamon, no stupid glass carafe that spills every time you pour. Just a simple mug, chipped at the rim, solid in my hand. The lake shimmered silver out the window. Still, quiet. I stepped out onto the porch barefoot, sat down with a pen and a notebook, and pulled the wool blanket up around my shoulders. I started a list. Things I'd lost. My marriage. My pride. 12 years I won't get back. Then I flipped the page. Things I'd gained. A clear mind. Real freedom. The peace of not performing for anyone. The list wasn't even. It wasn't supposed to be. But the second one felt heavier in a better way. My phone buzzed on the porch rail. I didn't rush to grab it. When I finally picked it up, it was an alert from her company. I'd set the keyword months ago, buried in my inbox settings. Executive departure. Compliance triggered. Departed under ethical review. No name. Just a quiet little headline. I didn't smile, just nodded once and locked the screen. Later, I pulled on my boots and walked the trail behind the house. The air was crisp enough to bite. Leaves crunched underfoot. Gold, red, brown. Everything finally letting go. Halfway down the path, a kid rode by on his bike, jacket zipped to his chin, backpack bouncing. Probably one of the new neighbors.